Welcome to Football Foreplay, our weekly video segment on thescore.ca. I'm Golokhov, he's Cohen. With the NFL season set to kick off this Thursday, we're not going to mince words. Eric, I know you're more of a short-term gambler, but looking long-term, which team do you see offering good value in a future bet as a Super Bowl winner?
Well, you have to like San Diego, a 14-2 team last year. You can get them at 7 or 8 to 1. A team like Chicago that went to the Super Bowl last year, another team, you can get them at 10 or 11 to 1, and even New Orleans at 10 to 1. They are the top team in the NFC, in my opinion, talent-wise. That's where the value stands.
I like the Baltimore Ravens, a 13-3 squad that added Willis McGahee. I also like the Denver Broncos at 25 to 1. They seem to be New England's kryptonite. They beat them at Gillette Stadium last year, and of course handed Tom Brady his first ever playoff loss a couple of seasons ago. Now, moving from first to worst, who do you foresee finishing with the least amount of wins and earning the dubious distinction of having the first pick in the 2008 draft?
I think it's a pretty simple answer, Dave. I think you got to go with the Oakland Raiders. Look at the three quarterbacks, McCowan, Culpepper, and Walter, who was sacked 4 consecutive series last year in a game. These guys are garbage. This team is garbage. Terrible offensive line. They will not win more than 4 games. They are the worst team in the NFL by far.
Well, the Kansas City Chiefs cornerback Ty Law said, "We've got guys with stank-ass hair," referring to a number of his teammates with dreadlocks, but I think it's more the players that stank than his hair. The Chiefs have looked awful in the preseason. We know about Larry Johnson, but how good will he be behind the thin red offensive line? Willie Roaf retired last season. Will Shields retired this season. That's 23 Pro Bowls between the two offensive linemen. If Johnson is ineffective, the Chiefs will challenge the Raiders for last in the AFC West.
You know what? The Chiefs are the third best team in the division, but they are certainly not the fourth best team. And certainly Kansas City is a much better team than Oakland. No Brody Croyle will be Damon Heward. He was a winning quarterback as a starter last year. They got Larry Johnson. They'll win 7 or 8 games, which is 3 or 4 more than the Oakland Raiders.
Brad Johnson was also a winning quarterback in Minnesota 2 years ago. When he got the job last year, he stunk. But let's move to the lightning round. I'm going to pit players versus players, coaches versus coaches, teams versus teams. You tell me who you think will fare better this season. Number 1, best quarterback not named Manning or Brady. Is it Carson Palmer or Drew Brees?
Oh, it's Carson Palmer. I know Brees had better numbers last year, but Carson Palmer's a stud. Out of a better program, USC, than Purdue. I think basically you got 2 number 1 receivers for Palmer with Hushmanzada and Chad Johnson. Carson Palmer will be the best quarterback not named Brady or Manning.
Who is more likely to have a breakout campaign, Manning Jr. or his 2004 draft cohort, J.P. Lossman?
Well, I like J.P. Lossman. I thought he looked good in preseason, but in the actual preseason games, he regressed based on where he was last year. Eli Manning has been great the first 8 games. He's struggled down the stretch. This will be the year Eli puts it together and has a better year than J.P. Lossman.
I think you're way off. In the last 7 weeks of the season last year, only Peyton Manning and Carson Palmer threw more touchdowns, passes than J.P. Lossman.
Lossman has 1 target, and that's Lee Evans.
Moving on to number 3. Who will have more receiving touchdowns, Chad Johnson or Terrell Owens?
Well, the obvious answer would be Terrell Owens. He led the league in touchdowns last year. But I'm going with Chad Johnson. Owens is banged up. Johnson is younger. Johnson has not had any injury concerns. Chad will have more touchdowns than T.O. this season.
Which rookie running back will have the better season, Marshawn Lynch of the Buffalo Bills or Adrian Peterson, not of the Chicago Bears, of the Minnesota Vikings?
I like Marshawn Lynch, and I like him better. He's in a better situation. Marshawn will get all the carries there. A-Train's on his way out, whereas in Adrian Peterson's case, Chester Taylor is still the starting running back there. They spent a lot of money bringing him in from Baltimore. So better situation for Marshawn Lynch, despite the fact that he said he's never run in snow, and we all know he'll see snow in Buffalo.
That's right. Number 6, head coach most likely to be fired first, Tom Coughlin, who surprisingly isn't fired yet, and Romeo Crennel.
Tom Coughlin and the Giants. If the Giants do not make the playoffs, Coughlin's done. I was surprised they gave him an extension last year after they choked down the stretch. Crennel, his team might win 4 games, but it's a long-term process in Cleveland, and he's there for the long haul.
So you think he'll get the time. Coach most likely to fail with his new team, Norv Turner or Wade Phillips?
Wade Phillips. I think Norv Turner's in a better situation with LaDainian Tomlinson and Phillip Rivers and the young talent in San Diego. As I said, a 14-win team last year. They're not going to struggle in the AFC. They are the cream of the crop with New England. Dallas has more competition. If Dallas wins 9 or 10 games and loses in the wild card game again, obviously that's not the success that San Diego will have.
Which team will be better despite a key suspension, the Falcons minus Vic or the Titans minus Pac-Man?
Well, the Falcons minus Vic, that's a bigger loss for them because that's a quarterback. I mean, Pac-Man, yeah, great on special teams, a good kick returner, but he was not a shutdown corner playing there last year anyway. So the fact that Atlanta's got to go with Joey Harrington, that's a bigger loss.
Who's the bigger threat to the New England Patriots, the San Diego Chargers or the Indianapolis Colts?
San Diego. Indianapolis lost way too many people on defense from last year's team. Linebackers, defensive backs. If Bob Sanders isn't healthy, they can't stop the run. We saw that all throughout the year last year. San Diego is a more complete team. They don't have the quarterback, obviously, but they are a better team, and they are more of a threat.
They also returned 10 Pro Bowlers.
Pro Bowl players, yep.
John Kitna says the Lions will get to 10 wins. I'll ask you, who finishes with a better record, the Detroit Lions or the Green Bay Packers?
The Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, because of the offensive talent they have, because of Roy Williams, Calvin Johnson, because of John Kitna, who's not over the hill like a Brett Favre. I know Favre had a decent year last year. They were 4-8. They won their last 4 games down the stretch. But you know what? Detroit's got more talent. Green Bay's younger, and they've got more defensively, but Detroit will get it done in that matchup for second place in the NFC North.
You have a friendly bet on this, and I like the Packers, as I mentioned before. Like you just said, they won their last 4 games.
They did.
They're a young team that's going to get better. That's it for us. Thanks for joining us on Football Foreplay. Check back as we give you picks, analysis, and fantasy advice every single week on thescore.ca.